This is the Asus XG43UQ, a 43-inch 4K 144Hz VA panel display. I've been very curious for quite a while now. A 43-inch display makes a lot of sense in a TV setup, but could it actually be used as the main display for my PC, both for work and play? Asus was nice enough to send over a review unit, and after using it for about 6 weeks or so, I'm now ready to share my thoughts. The box was huge, and unboxing it took quite a bit of effort. Comparing it with my 34-inch ultra wide, it is definitely way bigger. The stand comes pre-assembled. In the box, you'll also find this massive power adapter, a bunch of your typical DisplayPort and HDMI cables, as well as this gimmicky ROG logo RGB light that I didn't even bother hooking up. Let's talk through some of the tech specs rather quickly. You're looking at a 43-inch 4K VA panel capable of up to 144Hz refresh rate and variable refresh rate via AMD FreeSync. It is an anti-glare matte screen, which I like a lot, and it has a DCI P3 color gamut. I don't have any tools to test this more accurately, but I'll say that to my naked eye, I do prefer the colors produced on this screen compared to my regular Prism X340 Pro. It also supports HDR10, which is great for movies. The XG43UQ comes with a lot of ports, way more than I was used to for a typical display. You get one DisplayPort 1.4, two HDMI 2.1, two HDMI 2.0, two USB 3.0 ports, and the accompanying uplink port, and one audio jack. But do note that over HDMI, you get a max of 120Hz refresh rate, as 144Hz is only available on DisplayPort. After dismantling my existing two monitors, I set up the XG43UQ in their place. I did not use the default stand. If you're setting this up more as a gaming TV in a typical living room setup, where the display is placed on a TV console at a decent viewing distance, then making use of the default stand kind of makes sense. However, with my current desk, it would have been far too close with the stand. I had to mount it on my wall to gain back that little bit of viewing distance. And even then, it really wasn't enough, but more on that later. The XG43UQ comes with a 100x100 VESA mounting. You can pretty much use this with any TV or monitor mount that can support the weight of a 43-inch display. My existing mount that was previously holding my 34-inch was actually rated for much larger displays and had no issues handling this 43-inch behemoth. My desk has a depth of about 58 cm. With the wall mount, I'm seated at a viewing distance of about 60 cm away from the screen. At this distance, I had no issues with the 34-inch curved ultra-wide, but this 43-inch is really something else. With the 4K resolution, screen estate is awesome. I had a lot more room for multitasking with multiple windows. Pixel density was noticeably higher compared to the 1440p 34-inch screen that I was used to, and even with clear type on, some text in Windows 10 seem to be not as sharp. One of the biggest flaws though, at this 60 cm viewing distance, is that there's a bit of a fisheye effect, especially when you're looking at content at the corners or the edges of the screen. This was a bit uncomfortable at first, but I did get used to it after about a week or so. I definitely did end up googling to see if there were any 43-inch curved displays on the market though, but I didn't find any. I tried out some games at this distance. Call of Duty Warzone felt like a very different experience on a 43-inch display. The larger screen definitely helped make enemy movement more obvious. Unfortunately for me, no matter how fast my FPS or refresh rate is, my 35-year-old body is no longer able to react quick enough. But 60 cm was really just far too close. I started getting a headache in about 15 minutes of gameplay. So I pulled in my portable table and shifted myself much further back. 100 cm viewing distance proved to be much more comfortable, and Warzone and Final Fantasy XIV became a lot more playable for longer periods of time. Unfortunately, this hacky solution made the rest of my workspace a lot less useful because I could no longer reach my actual desk. And there was a lot less walking space in my room as well, which totally didn't make sense. Sitting on the bed was an incredible experience though. Watching movies on this screen while curled up in bed was very enjoyable. I ended up rewatching most of the MCU movies over a couple of nights. At this distance, gaming on a controller was also really comfortable. I played Genshin Impact for a couple of hours, and honestly, it almost felt like the game became so much more fun just because it was on a large 43-inch screen. But realistically, to use this display with just my regular desk and at a 60cm viewing distance, I think it makes a lot more sense to play games in windowed mode, which is totally an option. Effectively, I can continue to play all my games at my regular 3440 by 1440p resolution, with screen estate around my game for additional windows for my web browsers and instant messaging. This was much more comfortable experience when you're this close to the display. One of the main things I wanted to try out with this display was for productivity, and it did not disappoint. 4K is a lot of resolution and real estate. Boards and charts that previously required me to zoom out or scroll a lot, I could now easily view in the full. Video editing was also a very different experience, with a lot more space not just for my timeline and layers, but also my preview window. Coding was also much more comfortable, with plenty of space for my browser, my code editor, my terminal, Slack, etc. All my different apps and windows that I wanted to use in full view. I strongly recommend downloading Microsoft's Windows 10 Power Toys, a free add-on to Windows that gives you access to this fancy zone feature that really helps with window management. Investments in trading has been trending lately as well, and for a while, having bought some popular stocks like Tesla, GameStop and others, it was also pretty exciting to leave a window open to monitor the numbers during trading hours on this huge display, and still have more than enough space for videos, for web browsing, even for work, etc. If you're interested in jumping into the stock trading scene, I recommend giving TigerBrokers a try. The mobile app and Windows app are both great to use, and the community features are kind of fun too. It feels like you're holding to the moon together with other people. And being able to chat with them also helps give you insights on what other stocks you want to buy. If you're keen to give it a go, do use my referral code or tap the link in the description below. The sign-up promos are pretty awesome. It grants you 500 Tiger coins, 60 trades commission-free, and most importantly, you get 1 Apple share completely free when you make an initial deposit of 2,000 Singapore dollars. And that's just a deposit without needing to make any trades. At the time of writing, Apple stocks are about 150 USD, so that's basically free money, so you definitely should try signing up to get your stock today. Moving on to another productivity feature, or in my case, one that turned out to be not a very productive use of my time. One of my main gripes about this display. One of the benefits of my previous dual monitor setup was being able to use multiple computers effectively. And I really wanted the picture-by-picture function on this monitor to work for me. However, PBP proved to be a major hassle. When I first tried to set it up, I ended up with 2 puny unusable screens. I was hoping that Windows would be able to automatically detect the half resolution, but it will continue to detect the monitor at its full 3840 by 2160 resolution. Simply changing the resolution in display settings wasn't sufficient enough though. In order to get it to display properly, I also needed to go into the Intel graphics settings on my laptop to change the display scaling settings, and similarly in the NVIDIA graphics settings on my PC. Once done, I would effectively have 2 stacked 1080p screens per computer, which would make for a very comfortable dual PC work environment. Unfortunately, even though I managed to get it working the first time, when I reset things so I could actually go and film through all the steps again, I was unable to do it the second time, and I spent way too much time trying to get it to work, and after that I kinda just gave up. It was just too much hassle to bother. In any case, PBP would have been great for people who frequently work on multiple computers at the same time. But I think that actually for most people, a KVM switch is a lot more useful for productivity, focusing the full screen estate on just that one main working computer, and allowing you to switch not just the display inputs, but to also have your keyboard and mouse connected to the correct PC. I would have liked to see a KVM built into this display, but there wasn't one. In terms of smart home automations, the XG43UQ includes an IR remote, which really opens up to many possibilities. I cloned over the IR remote into my Smart Life app and was able to start setting up automations that included powering on the display. It also meant that I could easily do things like switch input source from my bed with just my phone. Retailing at 2,099 Singapore dollars, the Asus XG43UQ is definitely not for everybody. This display falls into a very niche segment. If you are a hardcore gamer that plays mostly on consoles such as the PS5, which comes with HDMI 2.1, then I think this makes for a very good living room display. But in that segment, you will be competing with gaming TVs such as the 48-inch LG C1 OLED gaming TV, which is also capable of 120Hz gaming. The C1 is also available within the same price bracket of around 2,000 Singapore dollars. However, OLED displays can be both a pro and con though. Extended usage as a PC monitor also means that it's more likely to cause burn-in compared to regular TV or gaming use. And in terms of display size, I think 43-inch is really at the upper limit. Personally, the LG 48-inch is not something I would want on my work desk. Alternatively, if you don't really care for the refresh rate, then there are much cheaper 43-inch panels that you can take a look at from the likes of Prism or Xiaomi. But I recommend you check for the chroma subsampling support when using with a PC. You want a 444 support to ensure that text is displayed properly. This graphic from rthings.com helps you to verify this. Some 4K displays only support 422 or 420, which can cause text to be blurry in some conditions. I think a 43-inch display is definitely still viable though, but I would strongly recommend at least a 90cm viewing distance. Unfortunately, most consumer workstation desks are about 70cm or less, so you may want to consider either an additional keyboard tray or searching for a much deeper desk, maybe like a dining table of sorts, to really be able to use this display comfortably. In conclusion, I would love to keep this 43-inch display as my permanent daily driver, but maybe not in my exact current setup. I considered getting a new table, but my current room layout really doesn't allow for it. Getting a keyboard tray is a definite option though. In any case, when I'm setting up my new home next year, I'll definitely be shortlisting this 43-inch display for my new workspace. Once again, thank you Asus for loaning me this review unit. I hope you don't need it back anytime soon, because I really don't want to part with it right now. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.